bias topic I did is, should gender matter when like the gender of the parent mattered who gets child custody? And then an important thing to remember is like everyone loses when it comes to like divorce and child custody, and this is just a political cartoon displaying that, because like the physical properties got split, but baby can't really be split. Even with joint custody, it can't be equal. And then the two main solutions for divorce are joint custody and sole custody, and these are definitions of each. Joint is legal custody of a child or children that is shared by both parents after divorce or separation, or sole custody when one parent has full custody and the other is forced to pay child support. We'll do the pros of joint custody. So one of the pros is it reduces violence between parents, because in some sole custody cases, there's been times where the parent kills his children and himself, so the mom or like the dad don't get custody, because it's like, I get it or no one gets it. And it improves relationships because the child can have a relationship with both the mom and the dad, and it has the least amount of change before and after the divorce, because he still has that relationship with his parents. And my quote is, the children get the best of both worlds, time with both parents. They grow up without any of the trauma associated with divorce because they remain in frequent contact with both parents, who interact as a solid co-parenting unit, just like an intact family. And it's not a quote by me, it's a quote by someone else, the last name Bradley. And here's some cons of joint custody. It's more than one location, because both parents are living in separate houses and the kid has to go back and forth. And that like it makes it hard for the children to settle in one location. The difference of rules, and I'm not talking about like where they go to school, I'm talking about like their bedtime, if they can have sleepovers, because there's a separation of how the mom raises the kid and the dad raises the kid. And so it can cause a competition between the parents, because like whoever's the least strict on rules will usually be the favorite, and that's a con of joint custody. And here are some of the pros of sole custody. Stability and consistency, because like since only one parent is calling the shots, the parent doesn't really have to communicate to other parents, they have to choose. And then reduces arguments, like again, they don't really have to talk about it, they just decide. And here's some cons of sole custody. This is where the gender bias plays a big part, because the mother is highly favored in this rather than the father, because usually the mom's staying at home and being the primary parent. And then difficulty with collecting and paying child support, because as 42% of U.S. children are now born outside of marital bonds, some observers have labeled the United States a complex family society. So since 42% of kids don't have parents that are married, it's hard to collect that child support, because like the dad could be anywhere by the time when the baby's born. And so that's a con of sole custody. And then here's a video from a Hollywood movie made in 1979.
I guess most of what she said was probably true. There's a lot of things I didn't understand. A lot of things I'd do different if I could. Just like I think there's a lot of things you wish you could change, but we can't. Some things, once they're done, can't be undone. My wife, my ex-wife, says that she loves Billy, and I believe she does. But I don't think that's the issue here. If I understand it correctly, what means the most here is what's best for our son, what's best for Billy. My wife used to always say to me, why can't a woman have the same ambitions as a man? I think you're right. And maybe I learned that much. But by the same token, I'd like to know, what law is it that says that a woman is a better parent simply by virtue of her sex? You know, a lot of time, think about what does it make somebody a good parent? You know, it has to do with constancy. It has to do with patience. It has to do with listening to him. It has to do with pretending to listen to him when you can't even listen anymore. It has to do with love, like she was saying. And I don't know where it's written. It says that a woman has a corner on that market, that a man has any less of those emotions than a woman does.
That's the video I showed. And that was like a big thing, because in 1979, that's where a huge gender bias was, and the mom always got custody. And then here is Tom Kramer arguing for his child, and that's what he said in the court case. No, not really that. And my solution to this issue is, I think the best option is to do joint custody, but the parents need to be willing to communicate and get a commonality of rules so the kid can be raised like in the same way based on which household he's in. And then what I learned is, when I first started, I thought it was kind of a simple case, like the mom always got custody. But as I researched, I realized that it's changed a lot, and they're trying to make it so the gender bias is no longer an issue. And there are so many solutions to this issue because it's so complex and every family is different, and the kid needs a specific thing every time. And then here are my works cited.